Hello there, Jarod the Dark Jedi here. As all of you are aware, the Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild are both on strike. And after some consideration, it has been determined that review content, like what is mostly predominantly makes up a lot of what we produce, is still going to be not considered crossing the picket line. It is still encouraged by the Screen Actors Guild, who established new terms additional to what was being asked to be complied with the WGA. What we do here, the conversations we love to have with a bunch of our friends, to have with you guys, is not possible. The stories we love to talk about, the stories that we love, do not get made without the blood, sweat, tears, creativity, and brilliance of the writers and actors. And currently, the studios who produce the things we love are working these writers and actors to death, not compensating them appropriately, and are trying to replace them with AI. I would think it goes without saying that the Nerd Academy podcast stands staunchly with the Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild, and we'll be supporting them from here until the end of these strikes in whatever way that we can. There will be links in each episode description so that you are able to see how you can help, where you can help, how you can donate to different funds to keep food in the belly and roofs over the heads of the writers and actors who are trying to make historic change in Hollywood as we speak. This review, this discussion, this news roundup, whatever the episode may be, was recorded during these strikes, and our love for the works of these writers, of these actors, will continue to be praised and discussed while they fight for their rights. And I want to implore everybody watching and listening to aid in whatever way they can. We stand in solidarity, and we ask that you do too. So, without any further ado, here's the show.
The Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Good morning, class, and welcome back to the Nerd Academy podcast, your source for nerddom news and commentary. I am your host and superior web headmaster, Jared Bachman Stubbs, and we're talking Secret Invasion, the show as a whole. If you guys have been keeping up, Travis, myself, and our guest, Mitch, from the ComicBookCast, kind of lukewarm at best on Secret Invasion, which is really disappointing because I think it had a lot of potential. I was really enjoying it at the very beginning. It is important to me to just, kind of always reiterate, I think there's a lot of good in this show. I think there's a lot of great performances. I think there's a lot of good ideas, and I don't think a lot of them are fully baked. And we have a conversation about that, kind of spitballs ways that we would have shifted the show around. Programming notes, real quick, up top. I said you guys wouldn't be getting any content this week. I lied. My new employers, our little training week has gotten moved around a little bit. So what you guys can expect from us is going to be this episode you're watching right now, our Secret Invasion season review, and then tomorrow or Sunday, I'm not sure yet, you can expect a review of Star Wars Inquisitor, Rise of the Red Blade with Scotty Holiday. They're going to be joining me for a very fun conversation about a book both of us loved And yeah, I'm super excited to have them on the show for the first time. Scotty's great. They are very funny. They are very intelligent. They are very easy on the eyes. I'm very, very excited to talk shop with them. Our Mr. Radtastic DC Cinematic Universe episode is forthcoming. Again, if the stars align and we're able to sneak it in here while we wait for my training week to kick off, we're going to try to get that snuck in there tomorrow at time of record. It is August 2nd, Wednesday, as of right now. So fingers crossed if we're able to sneak that in there. That's a big maybe, though. I'm waiting to see what's going on with Travis. So either next week or the week after, expect that Mr. Radtastic episode. And then, like I've said before, Versus Series and Heroic History 101 are going to get back on track here once we get past all this nonsense. But yeah, programming notes for you guys. With that, I do want to go ahead and give a thank you to our sponsors, Sunday's Bloody Mary. You guys know the drill. SundaysBloodyMary.com has the most badass Bloody Mary accoutrement in the multiverse with their 3-time award-winning spicy Caesar mix and their mild and traditional mixes if the spice ain't for you. If you want to get your freak on and garnish that bad boy, you can use their pickled dilly beans, okra, and asparagus. I love good pickled asparagus in my Bloody Mary. And if you're nasty, you can go ahead and salt that rim while you're at it. So get on over, get some of the best Bloody Mary mix I have ever had. As you guys know, I am a former, maybe future bartender, and I pride myself in being able to make a good Bloody Mary from scratch. It's something my mom taught me how to do. I was her bartender Padawan, and yeah, I make Bloody Marys from scratch, or at least I did until I got my hands on Sunday's Bloody Mary. I do not like Bloody Mary mix. As a general rule, I think most of it is just kind of, ugh. It's not as good as a Bloody Mary you can make for scratch, except for Sunday's Bloody Mary. It is my favorite stuff, and it just tastes so damn good. But anyway, with all that said, me, Travis, Mitch, talking Secret Invasion, what we liked, what we didn't like, what we think we could have changed, all that stuff. And now, hello there. It is time to talk about Secret Invasion, the series as a whole. I'm excited to unpack some feelings after getting to think about it for a little bit. Obviously, I was graciously invited to keep up traditions onto the comic book cast to do the season review over there as well. So you guys know the drill. Mitch comes over here. It's a fun little exchange student type thing going on. But yeah, it's me. We got Travis. We got Mitch, and we're going to be talking about Secret Invasion. So Mitch, I'm going to throw to you first, man. How week to week? How were you feeling, like from premiere to finale, like week to week? How were you feeling about the show?
Premiere, I felt okay. I thought it was a decent start. Not my favorite, but it was a decent start. And the less said about the other 5 weeks, the better. I think it's very much progressively worse as it went on. And has it been a week since it finished now?
Yeah.
Yep. Wow, that's the longest week I think I've ever lived. It's. I have not gotten any better on my feelings on the show. I think it doesn't help the director's out here talking all kinds of crap, right? And it's I think it was Civil War. Like, really?
I listen. It is unfortunate that the director, I think, was sent to the press without a full deck. Part of me is inclined to kind of hand that L to Disney Marvel.
I mean, sure.
Like, what do you mean you don't know, man? Like, and it's one of the situations where, like, the MCU as a whole is this very complicated web of individual creators and the forward momentum of a shared continuity. Like it's something that I think everybody, and it's something that I think a lot of fans of the MCU want to have their cake and eat it too with. I think there's a lot of people who consume MCU stuff who simultaneously want like auteur visions that also are like in the lead up to like something massive. And when you have something that is very standalone and very character driven, people get angry that there wasn't enough setup for the next thing. And when there's something that is very much laying the groundwork for the next project, people get angry that it wasn't, a black and white silent film. That said, I am inclined to agree with you. I don't think I've softened on the show at all.
No.
I know anybody who's watching the show, like anybody who's watching Secret Invasion with us week to week when we were doing our reviews, I kept on banging this drum of I am liking these individual episodes. I am liking moments in each of these episodes. I don't know how the fuck you do this in 6. And
No,
I don't want to have to keep repeating that, but like I truly think I think it is the core of Secret Invasion's woes here. I think it is the sickness that plagues this show. A show that otherwise I fucking loved, like these are one of those I absolutely love what this show was going for. I loved the vibes. I loved the ideas. It is just the fact that they are not left in the oven long enough to bake into something cogent, coherent, the longer I stew on it, the more I'm like, Maria Hill's dead. Who like, and it's not to say that Maria Hill ever had like some big grand arc in the MCU, but like she's an important planetary character, and in that hierarchy of like street level, like an international or like planetary character, and then you got your cosmic shit. Maria Hill's a pretty big deal there, and like,
she's a Nick Fury character.
Yeah,
literally taking his role over in the comics. Like,
yeah,
they've wasted her since day one, but you had a golden chance here with Nick Fury having his little midlife crisis and wanting to live in space. Have Maria Hill take over everything, but no, we got to gratuitously kill her off for no reason. But
hey. I mean, and listen, two things with what you just said. First of all, I've said this before. I said this with Black Widow. I think there is very much a hidden mini phase that could have, should have happened, perhaps, that would have just been like the Secret Avengers era, that I think there was a lot of material for, like in between Civil War and Infinity War. Like I stand by what I said with our Black Widow review, with the very idea that if Civil War was if you frame Civil War as an Avengers movie, it's Avengers Civil War, that Captain America 3 can be Captain America Secret Avenger. And you can maybe bring in some of the Netflix characters, maybe do a story where it's like, Steve and Natasha and, everybody else who was in that, Sam. And then you rope in someone like Luke Cage and Iron Fist, maybe, you tell a story with like, very, very much like that core team that Cap was running with in Civil War. I think that would have been cool in like comic Civil War and like Ultimate Alliance Civil War. I think that would have been cool, and again, it's one of those, like, I hate to say wasted potential. I think it's very much like a Monday morning quarterback type thing to throw around. But like in that vein, this story could have been so integral to that. This could have had and again, I know I'm saying like Secret Invasion could have been the payoff to a story that never fucking happened. But like I look at Secret Invasion and all I see is potential. All I see is like so many moments and beats and stones left unturned or like not fully developed, Like we could have gotten like a few stories in the MCU where like Maria Hill's hunting the Avengers, We could have gotten like actual Maria Hill doing shit, And like whenever she got shot and died, like for real died, I was like, all right, I guess we're never gonna tell a Maria Hill story then. Damn. I'm still shocked by that. Like honestly, I am still shocked that, like,
especially if
it's so
I genuinely don't think this wasn't the right. If you're gonna kill her off, fine, kill her off. You do whatever you want to do. She wanted out. But that could have been you open the show by going, "Hey, look, Martin Freeman's character's a Skrull this entire time," or whenever the hell it was, they don't even know. You could have had that moment be the, "Oh shit, there's Skrulls as everyone." Like people would have probably, or at least I would have brought it a bit more. If it was Maria Hill, she gets shot and then she's a Skrull in the middle of the street.
That's what I was gonna say. So you're saying like Maria gets gunned down and is a
Yeah.
Skrull. I'd be into that. I'd be into that. I think that would have been a great moment. I think that, you know, there's a weird push and pull with this series as well, where I think there's a lot of people like, and this is why I hate being on the side of not liking a thing, is that like it's so hard to find decent criticism of like Star Wars and Marvel that isn't just rooted in like caveman brain, you know, where like, for example, I was getting ready for work and I was like, I've listened to all my podcasts for the week and I'm like, oh, fucking Comic Storian did a Secret Invasion video. Just clicked on it while I'm getting dressed. And like the first words out of his mouth are, the live action Secret Invasion was bad because there weren't any superheroes. And I'm like, nope, wrong. That is not the core fucking issue. And, and it's like, you were going to make me defend this show I didn't like from dog shit criticism. I feel like, and not to say that I didn't like it, but like, I feel like I'm right back at Andor, where it's like, where it's like everybody likes it for all the wrong reasons. And it drives me insane, where people are like shitting on Secret Invasion for all the wrong reasons. Anyway, Travis, how are you feeling since then? Before I ramble any longer.
I had 2 Cheddar Bay biscuits before we started recording, so I really needed that, but I didn't want to crack it before being introduced. The MCU was ruined. If you liked the show, you're a beta soybean, and you don't deserve Cheddar Bay biscuits.
I'm
just
I know, but dude, you say that fucking was it Variety or Vanity Fair published that exact article today?
I'm gonna walk into the ocean
like an actual trope, like motherfuckers who know better, just pretending. Stuff like Guardians or Wakanda Forever doesn't exist. Like every time a single bad thing or something that people don't even like comes out, it's the death of the MCU. It's so fucking silly.
Yeah, but like, Angry Unga Bunga gets the clicks.
I know Angry Unga Bunga gets the clicks, and it makes me angry Unga Bunga.
Anytime I see anyone be like, this is the end of the MCU, it's dying, everything's bad, I'm like, phase 2. Phase 2.
Yeah.
Hell, phase 1. name one person that likes Thor 1 besides the people on this podcast. I'll wait. Oh. I said besides you. And maybe Mitch. I don't know.
It's all right.
I mean, hey, not my favorite, it's a Kenneth Branagh joint, which means I'm in. I'm in for anything Kenneth Branagh related.
There's a god awful amount of Dutch angles in that movie for some reason. I don't know why, but it's jarring. And I still love it. But yeah, I'm in the same boat. I thought the opening was fine, if not a little, because again, I was expecting something a little different than what we were getting, and I warmed up to what we were getting, and then it was like, wow, that was like a very underbaked loaf of bread that we just got.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, and we talked about it week to week, and seeing it all come to fruition here, there were episodes that just kind of felt like they were obviously supposed to be there and weren't.
Mm-hmm.
Like episode 3 should have been all about Fury and Vara's relationship. Like starting with that flashback we get in episode 3 where Vara introduces Fury to Gravik. And then just these like, and I know I've used this example like 5 times now, but like very same time next year where it's like just jumping ahead and maybe we get them on a mission together doing something. And like in that we get to see what Fury's perception of Skrull kind is. You know,
Yeah.
we
Well-
never get, despite the fact that Fury has this like relationship with the Skrulls, one of his best friends in Talos is a Skrull. We never understand why Vara felt the need to never change back into her true form. Because, like, they make it clear Fury knows she's a Skrull. He knows she had to get this face somewhere. But, like, at no point is like, do we ever get a moment from Fury where he goes, like, yeah, I love who you are, but like the green tactile pointy ears thing is kind of freaking me out. Can you stay looking like me?
Yeah, for me, that I mean that is kind of the root of the issue with the show. Is like, one, the show is trying to project this idea that it's this big global event. It's
Yeah.
this big geopolitical event that we don't get a ton of, really, throughout the
No.
show.
No.
And then, like, what we do get is supposed to be rooted in this relationship between Fury and the Skrulls that's talked about but never explored. And while that would be fine if it had been explored elsewhere, it's not. So we're relying on the show to introduce all these characters besides Talos, give us all the details on their previous relationship and their current relationship, and then give us something meaningful after that it doesn't have time. Even if you had gone to 9 or 12 episodes, I don't know you would have had time to do all of that and make it not feel like there was filler. Because then on the other side, and I agree this show should have been longer, but on the other side, if you had that episode about their relationship, everyone would have been like, this episode didn't need to be here. This show's called Secret Invasion. At which point I say, why wasn't this show just called Fury? Besides maybe some titling issues.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point though, like I already get annoyed enough whenever people just call it like a character focused episode filler. Like it was like that episode.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying
like,
I would agree with that take.
Yeah, I know that, but like, or even to that, like if the show's called Secret Invasion, it's called the Book of Boba Fett. Why is Din Djarin in here? But we're like, well, no, we're watching the invasion happen right now. We're watching the seeds of it get sown, and I find again, it is. I've said this before. I am somebody who can be blinded by an amazing performance. I think there are movies and shows that people dislike that I love, that my enjoyment of them is rooted solely in I bought performances. And that was enough to draw me in. And for example, I think that's a big reason why I love The Dark Knight Rises so much, is that I just love Tom Hardy's Bane. You know,
that's a hot take.
Problematic as it may be, like I just love his whole vibe. Like I love the fucking monologuing. I love how dramatic he is. He's like he's one of the only characters in the Nolan Dark Knight trilogy that actually feels like a comic book villain. Plus, I'm a sucker for like a husky guy with a respirator. You know,
are we calling that husky now?
I mean, he's bulky. He's a big boy. He's a thick boy. You know,
crab in a cup. Is that husky?
No, you knew what I meant. You go fuck off. He's cool as shit. That's okay. I will ride. That's
a take.
I ride or die for The Dark Knight Rises, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. But like even with this show, I am so enraptured by the chemistry between Sam Jackson and the woman who plays Vara that I'm like, oh, I want more of this. You know, and they act so hard in the end.
Yeah, where Sam Jackson's doing so much, which again, like for me, I think that's the root. I was thinking about this literally driving home today from work, that like a lot of my favorite things pulled from comics in the MCU are not in movies where like it's named after that. I lost my shit over them doing Planet Hulk stuff in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Because I think that story's really cool and would have been cool to adapt, but like obviously knew they'd never do it. So seeing that they did that at all was great. They didn't have to be its own thing, just like a nod to like, yes, we know this story exists and we know people like it. So I think you could have done something similar where like you put in, you're like, yeah, we're loosely using things from Secret Invasion. This is a Nick Fury story, and we're gonna tell a Nick Fury story. I think that is my biggest issue, is that like it wants to be this character driven focal point for this for what's happening behind the scenes, and then because it has to be this geopolitical thriller that it doesn't have time to be and doesn't want to commit the resources to being, like, because we're told off the cuff. We're told off the bat that like, oh, there's the string of terrorist attacks and it's all Skrulls, like immediately in the first 5 minutes. And it's like, why are we told this right away instead of chaining it together, figuring it out, and then trying to stop it in the end?
Yeah, or as I've said before, if we know all of this already, like, why are we not beginning the show where it ends?
Yeah.
With like with the president like going, hey, it's open season on an entire kind of person. Like that is what boggles my mind. Is like I do truly think that had that decision not been made at the end, people would have been like, Secret Invasion just kind of, the wheels fell off. We'll see if we ever see any of this stuff again in the future. I do think we would have forgotten about it by now. The fact that it ends in such a batshit insane way, I think immortalized this show. I really do. I really think that like Secret Invasion is going to go down as the worst finale.
Easily, hands down.
And again, and I hate saying stuff like that, man. I don't like doing like negative reviews, but like,
you can't help it when they give you something like this.
Yeah, like it's just I struggle to wrap my brain around some of these decisions made. Have a fucking graphic episode. I keep wondering what Fury did wrong. Like, and that's the thing, is like we never find out why there's not a new Skrull homeworld. We never do.
Well, that's the real secret, isn't it? No.
Yeah. There is no moment where Fury gets to fall on his sword or lie his way out or make excuses or do anything as a character. It is just, thank you, Naya. It is just him. Just, I didn't get around to it. Okay, why? I think having there be some kind of like there be some episode with Gravik where he realizes that like superhumans and the Avengers have become his new pet project. Let there be like let Gravik be that like, child trying to warm himself by, burning the village down. Like Kingsley Ben-Adir, again, like we're talking about Sam Jackson. Kingsley Ben-Adir acts his ass off in this show. He is so sinister and so like I do think he's like legitimately captivating in this show. I think he's fascinating, but like he did Falcon and the Winter Soldier a favor because now the Flag Smashers look fucking reasonable. The Flag Smashers seem coherent next to, this. It is just truly baffling and disappointing, and I come away from the show kind of with this like heavy head, knowing that Talos was wrong and that Gravik was right. And that just leaves such a bad taste in my mouth. Because there was no allegory explored for Gravik to be right, if you know what I mean. Like there was never a moment where it was Gravik is right, but or Talos was kind of wrong, but it is just, oh yeah, the world found out about how many Skrulls are here, and now they're going to try to do an ethnic cleansing of them. And it is just
we are off to do.
Yeah, and like, sure, but why can't it be a more happy ending? And I don't.
I mean, it is for Fury and his wife.
Yeah, they get
on
the
a space
fuck
station.
And like I said, that is the part that just really blows my mind. Like, it is the entire like last 10 minutes of this show that I do think like kills it. That I think just like makes enough wild decisions right at the end that it kind of I hate to use the term ruins, but I think it is the thing that retroactively makes the show worse.
Mm-hmm.
Is that there is no satisfying ending. Fury is leaving in the middle of this scroll like genocide that's being whipped up, and apparently the Kree coming to the table for peace talks was an option. Like, that alone could have been the plot here. That alone could have been Fury just being like, I have spent 30 years trying to get the Kree to negotiate, and they are finally willing to talk, and now you want to nuke the planet because Daddy didn't give you enough attention. That is enough conflict for me. That is enough of an explanation of like Gravik being so radical that like, no, we're not going to accept any type of pity from the Kree. You failed us, they failed us, and your people are going to pay for it. You don't get to make us walk with our tail between our legs to the people who are trying to genocide us first. Fuck you. That is an amazing, that's great. That is great. You know, that, and I think you can then get into some really fascinating subtext about how, you know, very much like if you just choose not to have it be an issue, you know, very respectability politics. Why riot when you can just politely ask for people not to kill you? You know, like, you can actually have some type of subtext, some meat on the bone here. And instead, like, it's just shit just happens.
Yep. It really, I mean, I don't know if I said this about this show earlier when we talked about one of the episodes, but like, it does kind of feel like an AI generated story.
100%, yeah.
And like, you know, why do we need the Super Skrull subplot? Besides to have the big blowout fight at the end, that doesn't really mean anything.
Because we got Fantastic Four coming down the line at some point, and we want to use that as a villain.
But you could have easily just been like, hinted at a Super Skrull project at the end of the show, and not had to do that fight, and then you have more time to make the finale of the show actually like a thriller instead of that.
Yeah,
because like the fight's fine, but like it could have been so much more of a whodunit, Spider-Man pointing at each other meme of like, actually you're Gravik, but actually you're Fury, but actually Fury's another Skrull, but actually you're Gravik.
Well, I think you could also go like other direction with the Super Skrull stuff. Is that I can't remember how to say the name, but in the second episode, in what might be one of the best scenes in the show, that tell me something I don't know, moment on the train, when Talos brings up like, oh, like there's the Skrulls here, and then there's the Skrulls in a different place.
Oh yeah, the colony, like the Empire colony. I can't remember.
With like the Skrull Imperial colony, where like, again, that could also be a thing with Gravik. Is that like they're like, oh, like look at how our people are being debased by the meat bags on planet Earth. You know, like Gravik is working for this Skrull Emperor in some effort to usurp the planet. And it is that Emperor who is developing the Super Skrull technology and throws him a bone. It's not developed on Earth. It is developed beyond the stars, a technology even someone like Fury isn't familiar with. You know, like, there's your element, and motherfucker, there's set up for the Fantastic Four too. Here's a new space villain instead of nondescript Kree number 8. I am so excited for the Marvels. I don't know who the fucking villain is. I don't.
Bender, I think.
And I don't. Oh, she can kiss my shiny metal ass. But like,
Tom Hiddleston's wife. That's all I know.
Oh well, keep it in the family. Like, I'm so excited for the Marvels, and like, I'm excited for Carol, for Monica, and Kamala. I don't know anything else about that movie. I don't need to because I'm there for those three. But yeah, like at every moment it feels like the wrong choice was made with this show. Like you could have, like if you zigged where you should have zagged, and those zigs could have been actual, like within the four walls of this narrative stuff to develop it, or it could have been set up and laying groundwork and world building. Like it felt like such a nothing burger, and it kind of upsets me in that way. Like a lot of the Marvel shows get shit for either being it's like too self-contained for its own good, or doesn't set anything up at all, or it's spending too much time setting everything up, setting up things down the road. And this show kind of did like none of that
Neither.
you know like it didn't make itself a hype factory, and it wasn't self-contained and exciting for like its own story. By the end, at least, like the week to week, what's going to happen next was a lot of fun, but like it wasn't sustainable. It wasn't like by the end, you realize there's too much to accomplish in 40 minutes.
I would argue that even the what's going to happen next week wasn't even that fun, because again, the show didn't really hold, besides like that one cliffhanger of her answering the phone. There was never really a moment of like, what a reveal, what's going to happen next? It was just, hey, this happened.
Yeah.
We'll explain it.
We shot this person.
Yep.
We shot that person. This
We're going to
person explain
explain anything confusing about this will be explained in a line of dialogue in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We got you.
And that's all any movie or show is going to do. That's going to follow this. The Marvels, you're going to have maybe 5 minutes, if that. I can't even imagine that, to be honest. Captain America, Brave New World, you're going to get, hey, he was a one-term president. Now Harrison Ford is. Let's go.
Well, at the very least, though, I would if Brave New World picks up with President Lunatic getting ousted and President Ross being inaugurated, and most of that plot is now we need to repair our relationship with the other countries because this crazy fuck greenlit a genocide, and New Asgard are considered off-worlders and they're considered enemies of the state. Or there's pockets there of it, like, okay, it is Thaddeus Ross has to unfuck this situation on a global scale, and it involves Captain America. Like again, the president being ousted, that may take 5 minutes, but if there's repercussions from this show, great. I want there to be repercussions that like echo out. And like, at least for me to cure the bad taste in my mouth, Mitch, we talked about this on CBC, that the whole idea of we're praying that like, oh, Saber, like we're gonna be like a sanctuary for Skrulls up here.
Yeah,
like we are funneling Skrulls up here so that President Knight of Long Knives can't fuck with them. Like we're going to protect them. Again, big bad taste out of my mouth immediately. That where it's like, okay, so Fury did not abandon them. All we saw was his like first trip back up and his beautiful moment with his wife, not his beautiful moment with his wife being tarnished by the fact that he is damning millions of Skrulls to die. Horribly. And the humans who are getting killed too. Like he's just going to let this like weird space race war play out for shiggles.
Yeah.
And just peace out.
Wouldn't you?
No.
Are you sure?
I can say pretty confidently, if the ball were in my court, I would not just be happy with
death to all of them.
Beta
but
move.
They ruined Rhodey, so absolutely death to all of them.
I don't know if they ruined Rhodey.
They ruined Rhodey. I will That's my main takeaway from the show is they destroyed that character.
I'm waiting to see. Those are one of those like, okay, you set up something big. Let's see what the follow through looks like. I'm willing to let them cook with the Ross and Rhodey stuff. I'm willing to let them cook. That feels like a decision that was made from on high going into this show because they had plans for it elsewhere. Like,
I mean, maybe, but right now it's just.
Well, because for me, I think you get to explore something very fascinating with Rhodey, where now you get to watch him go, well, this person who wasn't me, like, became this high up in the United States government.
Yeah,
So,
my thing is,
do I inherit their responsibilities now? Oh yeah, my best friend is dead, and now we actually do get to like spend more time with Rhodey in the immediate aftermath of Tony's death. That we didn't get to before because the rest of the MCU was like, boom, WandaVision, boom, Falcon and Winter Soldier, boom, Black Widow, boom, Shang-Chi, and again, I love those projects, but most of those projects, but we don't get to spend a whole lot of time with Rhodey. The only time we do get to see from Rhodey post Endgame is the conversation he had with Sam, which it was Skrull. So I'm very fascinated to see, like, yeah, here's what happened. Like, Vision shot you out of the sky, paralyzed you. The Cap and his crew went on the run for a few years. We were invaded by aliens again. Half of everybody died.
I would even say that there's a possibility that this is a fake out and he's actually only been out since Endgame.
We'll see.
Because you have to do a lot of explaining to convince me that the decisions Rhodey made in Endgame, like specifically, or maybe it was Infinity War. Right? I have to rewatch those movies. The one where he hangs up on
That's
Ross.
Infinity War.
It's Infinity War?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, those decisions, that conversation feel too much like actual Rhodey to me and not like someone who would call Fury Nick.
Yeah. But this is the inherent problem with the concept, right? Because
yeah,
they obviously weren't thinking about it at that time. So it's written to be Rhodey. There's nothing in anywhere in what they've made that is going to incline you to think that this is a Skrull. So retroactively going back is the worst choice you can make. Whereas if they were going, hey, Secret Invasion is a Phase 7 thing, Rhodey's been a Skrull since Phase 4 or like Phase 4, Phase 5, whatever. Fine, that can work.
Perhaps.
But because then you can plant the seeds of everything. You can have those weird little moments of this guy's acting out of character. Like we had that recently with something, and I can't think what it was. It might be in WandaVision, thinking about it, where everyone's trying to figure something out. But we haven't had that with this show, and you needed that to help it along, especially with what we got. Like you could have really had that to help you out, but
I think
we didn't get it.
I think another issue we run up against here, though, is like adaptability. One of the reasons why it's easier to pull off a story like Secret Invasion in the comics is that you have all the apparatuses of comic book bullshit. It's harder to do. Oh, they died and then got better in live action. Most people, a lot of people are going to buy that kind of thing. So like doing something as crazy as we have like this whole army of like dozens of superheroes who are on all these different interconnected in simpatico teams, go all over the world and simultaneously trying to like take down these like what we believe could possibly be Skrull cells. And at the same time that's happening, a bunch of heroes show up in their older costumes and everybody's like, oh, wait, hold the fuck up. Captain America died a couple months ago. What the fuck are you doing here in that old timey suit? This is confusing. And is it real? Are you back? Like that question alone. Like if Tony Stark showed up in this show, There is no like apparatus for there is a chance you're back from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't typically do that here. Or even Steve. Do it exactly like Secret Invasion in the comics. Have it be Steve that shows up. You know?
Yeah.
In
Because Steve's in the best spot for that, right? Because you see him old one minute, then you can see him as young and next, and people can go, "Oh, well, they fixed it with timey-wimey crap, right?" No,
yeah.
it's fine.
There's weird timeline
Yeah, I think it's a
stuff.
reverse Flash him.
There were the multiverses coming undone, and I'm a fucking Mysterio. I'm a Captain America from a different reality. No, you're a fucking Skrull. Like there's stuff you could do there to maybe like adapt it. And again, I don't necessarily think that it not being directly adapted is part of the problem. I don't think that there's not enough superheroes. The people getting masqueraded as aren't superheroes isn't necessarily the problem. I think the problem is that there's not enough characters in this show to like waggle that carrot with.
Mm-hmm.
Like Rhodey
is the only one.
Rhodey felt obvious for forever. There were so many people. I was saying it. Nando V Movies was saying it very famously. Was like Rhodey. Like if they ever do a Secret Invasion type story, Rhodey's going to be a fucking Skrull. And then they announced the show, and then Don Cheadle's going to be it, and everybody went, "Well, there's our Skrull. There's our big twist Skrull."
I say people thought it was Rhodey for so long. I genuinely can't remember why people thought it was going to be Rhodey. My memory of the history of that is just people just decided Rhodey.
Well, people thought it was going to be Rhodey. He was the person who would like have that if executed well, and it's obviously super subjective, but like that if it were executed well, Rhodey carries the most weight. It would spawn the most fascinating story of with us getting Rhodey back potentially, and he's like one of the few characters we have left that turning him into a Skrull now wouldn't completely wipe the slate of a character that I think would require a lot more tender love and care to bring back to where they were, like Sam or Bucky or Wanda or fucking Strange, like how do you, it would harder to take Sam or Bucky, for example.
Yeah.
And be like, one of them has been a Skrull this whole time. Or has been a Skrull for so long that a huge event took place that is the fundament for their change. What were you saying, Travis?
And I think the reason for that also is because all those characters now have either already did or now have solo projects. Like Bucky and Sam, you can't do because they have their own project, and if you make one of them a Skrull, you void that whole project. Rhodey's like the only principal character of the Avengers that has never had, that I can think of off the top of my head.
No, because Armor Wars is going to be the first.
Just has one, and that is there's one of those few bits of setup that like, okay, congratulations, you have set up a story that will involve Rhodey having to make peace with what happened here. And again, I could be sold on it, but I do think that is also part of the problem with Secret Invasion, is that like it turned into an incompetent spy thriller because I don't think they could have done the like straight up invasion of the Body Snatchers paranoia thing. And I think that like there was a little bit of lizard brain that happened at Marvel where there was like, oh, Skrulls can shapeshift. That would make for a good spy story. Well, Nick Fury's our spy. And we don't have the apparatus of comic book bullshit to have it be replicant armies of superheroes fighting each other. So what if we like dial back the like duplicate Avengers showing up in the Savage Land and just have it be a spy thriller with shapeshifters? Great concept. And again, I am okay with the fact that it is called Secret Invasion. I love Avengers Age of Ultron, and Wolverine doesn't do any time travel in that story. Wolverine's not in it. Is it Wolverine or Ant-Man who goes back in time?
It's both, isn't it?
Is it both? I can't remember. It's been so long.
I think so. I thought it was Hank Pym and Wolverine's definitely the main core one, but I'm certain Hank Pym plays a massive part.
I couldn't remember, but still, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm okay with you guys using the name, and Civil War was able to pull it off. Civil War was able to be like, we're gonna pull back a lot of the craziness, and our story is still going to be Tony Stark versus Steve Rogers over an issue of how much authority the government gets over superheroes and superpowered and enhanced individuals. And they were able to make it work because I think it had like a more straightforward vision. And I do want to say,
Yeah.
and I don't see a whole lot of conversation about this that I do just feel like needs to be brought up a little bit more here. We do know this show had some reshoots at hand. So like, you know, there's a lot of trailer footage that is altered by the time you see the show. Like, you know, that episode that ended with Gaia getting popped by Gravik, you know, where like we knew she survived because there's that shot of her holding Talos's body. And we were right, she survived, but that shot doesn't happen. So like that moment that you'd think is like super core to the to the emotional like you know, thrust of the show is nowhere to be found. And every single trailer, every single tiny piece of marketing is like, look at this like room of endless people in pods. That is 5 seconds in the finale.
Yeah.
That is one of the last fucking things you see with no context for what you're looking at. You know,
That's
think
most of the show, right? It's like, hey, here's an idea, we're not going to do anything with it.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another idea. Here's an idea why Fury walks in the hallway to get to a room to have a conversation for 10 minutes before we move on to the next bit.
It's like they had a brainstorm session in a room with a whiteboard, right? And they were like, okay, we want to do Secret Invasion because we like to name some of our projects after comic runs. So they wrote Secret Invasion, circled it. And they were like, all right, so obviously we can't do, you know, we have respawn timers Marvel bullshit. So
Respawn timers.
we can't do that. And we can't use a ton of these legacy characters for like even beyond the like we don't want to involve these characters for bloat's sake. Getting Chris Evans to be in it, getting RDJ to be in it, getting anyone from the original group to be in it, or anyone that's might be working on a different project at the time is going to be tough. So we need to keep it to a core principal cast. And to do that, it's easiest to stick with our hero characters that will take minimal special effects. Nick Fury is our shield dude, and we already set up that he's with the Skrulls. Nick Fury, circle Nick Fury. And then we do, okay, so we have Nick Fury and we have Secret Invasion. And well, Nick Fury's a spy. We can do spy thriller. And we got to set up more Skrull intimacy into the MCU because Fantastic Four's coming. All right, Super Skrull. Circle that. And then, all right, there needs to be a core thing with why we already set the Skrull as not being bad guys. Why are the Skrull doing villain things all of a sudden? Angry at Fury. Okay, angry at Fury, and they keep doing that over the whole board.
Now, Tom, why is he angry at Fury? Anyway,
we'll get to that. You know, and then they keep doing that conversation, and then they walked out of the room,
and then they said, "We'll get to that 18 fucking times."
Someone else came in and went, "Man, ChatGPT is kind of a cool thing. What if I ran all these prompts through it at once and printed out a script?"
Boom. You looking for this?
I believe it.
Yeah. It comes to mind because like all the complaints we've been talking about, the Bastards episodes about AI children's books. If you listen to that, Jared.
Yes.
We're basically like
behind the bastards, not ionized bastards. Yeah. We both just abbreviate that to just bastards a lot of the time. To clarify, the Robert Evans podcast we listen to.
Yeah. Where like the principal thing is like they're just making these not stories of plot, like they're taking a plot thread and just printing that into a children's book instead of putting a meaning behind whatever's saying it, like a lesson to be learned for children's books. And it's like they did that, but for a Marvel script. And I'm not legitimately saying it was AI generated, but
oh yeah,
I think they were like, someone else walked into that room and saw the whiteboard, and Marvel was like, "Yeah, just do that." And they went, "You want me to include all of this?" Okay, and some poor intern wrote this script that they were like, "Yep, that's fine."
I think you're right.
Mm.
It feels like, at least. We're coming up on time here soon because I know Travis has to leave us in a moment. So as we kind of wind down, I said this before, we were going to throw to our patron director Jake any questions he has, or the question he had that I said we are going to save for the season review. He says, so how long do you think Ross and Rhodey were Skrulls? Because unfortunately, we got almost no information on either, and probably won't until Ironheart or Armor Wars. Now, of course, this was sent to us on July 27th, so this was pre the director of Secret Wars going, yeah, like Civil War, I guess. Which makes sense. There was I think that was the obvious,
Yeah.
read between the lines. He's in a hospital gown. He can't walk right. So I it's pretty much set in stone. Rhodey got abducted after he got shot down by Vision. Everett Ross is an interesting one. My theory is that I think it happens during Wakanda Forever. I think he gets scooped up while he's in federal custody, and then whenever Okoye comes to rescue him, that's a Skrull. That's like Okoye rescues a Skrull Ross.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see that. I can even see them just saying it happened off screen, to be honest. I think we're going to get... I don't know that we'll ever actually get confirmation on when Ross was taken.
I don't think we will now. Not with the reception to this show.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know, man. I think that's fair with the MCU. The MCU has a habit of like running back to the well of things that you would have thought was poisoned and like continuing to acknowledge its existence. Like, how many fucking like important beats have been divinated from Iron Man 2 and Thor the Dark World? Retroactive.
One of the greatest MCU movies in Thor the Dark World, you mean?
Yes. Yes.
I'm struggling to think of the Dark World. Like, what beat you talking about?
Worthy.
Endgame.
I'm still worthy. Endgame.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There's some important character development for Loki that starts with Dark World. Like,
yeah, I'm not even saying
back to those wells a good bit, so like Iron Man 2 is like fucking foundational to the MCU, and they won't let you they refuse to let that one go. People, Age of Ultron's the worst Avengers movie. Age of Ultron is a huge part of the DNA to fucking WandaVision. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, oh yeah, no, Secret Invasion is important.
I'm not even
liking it.
Yeah, I'm not even saying that they won't do it because of the reception of Secret Invasion. I'm saying they won't do it because they don't care. I shouldn't say they don't care enough, but like,
I mean,
in the grand scheme of things, no one's gonna make the effort to be like, so when was, besides us right now, like no one's gonna clamor about it for years to find out. I don't think it's gonna be that integral. Besides the fact that he was just in Wakanda forever. And then it's so easy to be like, yeah, it happened after my last time in Wakanda. The next time he shows up.
And I think that is another symptom of the lack of availability to the like greater Marvel ensemble here. Like, again, I don't want to diminish Everett Ross. I do enjoy him as a character, but like that whole like, who the fuck cares how long Everett Ross was a Skrull?
Yeah.
Like is born out of the fact that like you didn't have like, what'd you say?
Why wasn't it Valentina?
Because we're still setting her up, and she hasn't been the villain for Thunderbolts yet, or the leader for the Thunderbolts yet.
You could still do it.
I know, but then you set her back to square one, and we've already gotten all these like little bits and pieces of setup for her. I think if you do Val, I think you really shoot yourself in the foot. I think you set
more than what they have now. Like more than you have now, but
I mean, all we have so far is that she's putting together like a Dark Avengers. That's all we really have for her so far. Like, and that's all we need. So if we find out, oh, she was a Skrull this whole time, now we're back to square zero and just know that Julia Louise-Dreyfus is floating around out there.
Yeah. I also think that like on the opposite, I think they could have done more to set up Rhodey, just in the sense of like, we've known Secret Invasion was coming for a while.
Yeah.
We had a whole phase of Marvel that Rhodey was only in one project of. Why was Rhodey not more involved in anything Earthbound?
Yeah. When did they announce Secret Invasion? Was it in that original Phase 4 lineup? I can't remember.
No, I want to say it was that. I want to say it was that crazy fucking night of announcements in 2020. I could be wrong, but I think that was the night we got all those crazy Star Wars announcements too, with like Lando and Rogue Squadron and Rangers.
Yeah, it was
shareholders thing.
Yeah,
the shareholders call.
That was a fun week for Team TNAP. We were already like struggling to find time to record a Mandalorian review, and then it was like, hey, look at all these announcements, fucker.
Yeah, it was announced. I
think they've had.
What was it?
December of 2020.
Oh, cool. Wow, I did not think I was right. There you go.
So they've obviously known for a while, so they could have so easily done what you just said, like have Rhodey be in more things, and then have it be since Phase 4, like post.
Why wasn't Rhodey in Wakanda forever?
There's an echo going on. Good there.
And you can. I know us Italians, you'll think of like Mamma Mia pasta bowl. But like you can. No, seriously, you can start laying the groundwork of him like having like of him being on the same side as the CIA.
Yeah,
being all weird about like trying to invade or like start conflict with Wakanda, and it'd be like, hey, yo, where the fuck did that come from, James? What? What are you smoking, bro? Some shit like that. You know,
I do feel like now though,
have him being a little bit more Falcon and the Winter Soldier and be like super aggressive about the flag smashers.
Yeah,
because somebody's got to care about them.
Even like have him be the Coulson of Phase 4. I mean, like, granted, this is again too late to talk about, but like the Coulson being kind of this linchpin character in Phase 1 of the MCU of like he's at all of these moments. Culminate.
That would be interesting.
You can do that with Rhodey and then invert it by being like, but actually it wasn't Rhodey.
That would have been interesting. I'm like actively trying to find a way to work Rhodey into Hawkeye like right now. You know, I think there's like some way to be like, hey, the fucking reference you're in the tracksuit. This is a problem.
Like I keep hearing rumbles of mafia nonsense, and I work for the government. What the hell are you doing, Clint? Like that's a phone call. That's it.
Yeah, like this is not the kind of unrest we want. Try to pull Clint back. Hey, invade Wakanda. You know, like,
you could have easily had something like Rhodey warns Clint about Yelena. Because they worked the Yelena in that show quite easily. Just have him be the one that warns.
That would have been good
Clint
too.
about it.
He's like, you know, like.
By the way, this Russian assassin's after you. Like, heads up, might spark World War III. Titan Secret Invasion.
Yeah, this Russian assassin's after you, and like, and then you can kind of, and again, like, okay, let's work Valentina back into this. She's on the fucking scent too. She's like, something's not right with Colonel James Rhodes. Yeah,
and she would have been better than Olivia Colman's character because how the hell did she not know? Biggest surprise of the show.
You could literally just have Val do this.
I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real.
Boom. You looking for this?
I'm glad I got.
I'd just like you to know I kept that in our little spoiler.
You better have. I played so many clips. I was like, I better stay in.
They all stayed in. Yeah.
Good. For those of you at home who are not aware, ComicBookCast uses Skype to record, and for some reason, my whole setup catches fire every time I open Skype. So we've just gone, fuck it, we'll just record CBC TNAP crossovers on StreamYard, which gives me the unfettered power to, in the middle of a very serious conversation, play something like this. My voice. Excuse me.
Which has no context on the ComicBookCast channel.
No, it is that.
Which makes it funnier, personally, for me.
A Scotty J. Rowe cameo on Comic Book Cast is deeply funny to me. But yeah, all of that to say, I think Secret Invasion had a lot of potential that was not fully followed up on. You're not going to win them all, but you know what? I'm looking forward to Echo and Loki.
At least Echo's all in a week or a weekend, right?
Yeah.
It's dropping on one day.
One day Echo, get Loki in October, which I cannot wait for. That trailer was so good. I cannot wait to talk about the trailer on a news roundup episode. But yeah, anybody else with any closing thoughts on Secret Invasion? All right.
I missed the secret.
I did miss the secret too. With that, I will throw.
There was no secret.
The secret was the Skrulls that we knew who were Skrulls the entire time along the way.
Unless you're Olivia Colman, the only
unless-
person genuinely surprised in that show about Skrull. Had 10 minutes of screen time.
Can we also talk about the fact that they know, like Olivia Colman's character is the only one who just like shoots a motherfucker and goes, "Oh well, yeah, that's purple."
Yeah,
and that happens to nobody else. Until
she's the only one that somehow knows people are Skrulls, yet is surprised at Rhodes. I just that one bit just sums up the entire show for me. It's like, okay, that's the level we're going for. Okay.
With that, I'm going to throw to future Jarod to do our outros and some programming notes. And that is all for this episode of the Nerd Academy podcast. Thank you guys again for watching. I don't like doing episodes like this. I really don't. We take it upon ourselves to do these reviews and everything. And, I like to be able to put a bow on something and do a full season review. And, sometimes it just doesn't just sit right. I don't like making negative content, but it's part of doing the whole critic thing. A lot of the time you end up feeling like you're getting lumped in with people who just have dookie takes. Like I said, the people who are like, oh, it's inherently bad because no superheroes. And I think that's a silly opinion to have. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. You can find Mitch at 692 tweets. You can find and the Comic Book Cast as well. You can find Travis over at Travis Political on all social media. You can find me at Dark Jedi 2552 on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. And you can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, and on our website, www.thenerdacademypodcast.com, where if you're feeling generous, you can donate to our Patreon.
Hey, give me $1.
Pittsburgh Renaissance Festival is coming up, and I cannot wait to see him again. Speaking of our patrons, thank you to our $10 alumnus, Keandre Lloyd.
Congratulations.
Wrong one.
Colin Provolone. Sir.
So good.
Steal yourself, Colin! Steal yourself!
This is me stealing myself!
And to Paco, a.k.a. Elix Jones.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
And to our other $10 patron, Ray Clausen, who asks that you donate to Equality Texas and help protect queer kids in the Lone Star State. Going over, wonderful cause to support. I cannot recommend it enough. Also, a shout out to a new patron, friend of the show, Eli of Star Wars in a Galaxy. He right after we recorded last week. Joined the Patreon. He's been enjoying the Versus series, and I think you will too. So yeah, Eli's now a $5 patron. So thank you to our dear commissioner from Epic Confrontations. Like I said before, we're going to have our Rise of the Red Blade review with one Scotty Holiday. Very excited to talk to them. And Mr. Radtastic episode coming soon. I want to get like at least 1 or 2 more Star Wars topic episodes out before Ahsoka starts up. But yeah, thank you guys so very much for watching or listening. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, do all the things. Oh yeah, also I'm wearing it right now. I rarely do because I'm a Roosevelt's boy. You guys know that. Because I like my button downs. I always feel so cool and sophisticated in them. But go ahead and get some T-Nap merch too. I'm trying to find that TeePublic clip, but damn, there it is.
T-shirt, tpublic.com.
Click on the student store link on the nerdacademypodcast.com. Take you to our TeePublic. You can get a sick shirt like this. We got the logo on the back and everything. Go on over and get one of these. But thank you also very much for watching or listening. And class dismissed.
Stop!